He's right. Vision is everything. I said it with a placid smile to the journalist next to me, who had just winced in second-hand embarrassment. On stage, under the pulsing blue gels of the InnovateCon keynote theater, my business partner Zane was holding a heavy glass trophy. The glare caught the silver of his watch, the one I'd bought him when we closed our Series A funding. He had just delivered the line that would echo in every tech blog for the next 24 hours. The thing you have to understand about true innovation, Ren, is that it requires a singular vision. Some people are just meant to be the support crew. The camera flash froze the condescending pity in his eyes. My response was for me, and for the lawyer sitting 2 rows back, whose retainer I had paid in full 3 weeks ago. We met at a university hackathon, a cliché so perfect it felt scripted. I was the coder, a caffeine-fueled savant who could build an elegant algorithm out of pure logic and late-night pizza. Zane was the pitchman, all charisma and a brilliant smile, who could sell sand in the Sahara. We created HueCraft, an AI-driven design tool, in 36 hours. It was my architecture, my core logic, but his voice that mesmerized the judges. Never forget our first good memory, sitting on the floor of my dorm room sharing a lukewarm bottle of champagne after winning the $10,000 prize. That night, he said we were going to change the world together. The first red flag came 6 months later. He redesigned our fledgling website About Us page. My bio was there, but above it, his new title gleamed in a bolder font, founder and visionary. Mine was changed to lead developer. It seemed trivial, a matter of semantics. A small price to pay for the momentum he was building. The next 2 years were a blur of success. We moved from my apartment to a shared workspace, then to a sleek office in Soma with floor-to-ceiling windows. We celebrated every milestone. Our first 1 million downloads on the App Store, a glowing feature in TechCrunch, the lucrative licensing deal with Adobe. Those were the golden days, fueled by Red Bull and the shared belief that we were unstoppable. But the balance was shifting, so slowly I barely noticed. I was the engine, buried in the code, refining the HueCraft algorithm until it felt like an extension of my own mind. Zane was the face, handling the investors, the press, the finances. Started taking solo trips, board meetings in Zurich, conferences in Tokyo. I was too busy working to question it. He was giving his life to this, I reasoned. I was just giving my work. The first crack in my trust appeared not as a fissure, but as a hairline fracture. An automated notification from our QuickBooks account pinged my laptop late one Tuesday. Payment of $18,500 processed to a vendor I'd never heard of, Z Ventures LLC. And I asked him about it. His smile was disarmingly smooth. Oh, that's just a holding company for our overseas tax strategy, Ren. Standard practice for minimizing liability. It's boring stuff, let me handle it. I wanted to believe him. For 2 more weeks I did. Then an accidental clue changed everything. I was looking for an old contract on our shared Dropbox and saw a folder I wasn't supposed to see, its name a simple typo. HueCraft Legacy Archive. Inside was a subfolder. Its name was Zane. And inside that was a mirror image of my entire core algorithm, documented, commented, and filed for a patent under his name and his alone. The air left my lungs. The world narrowed to the pixels on my screen. This wasn't just about money, this was the theft of my soul. I didn't confront him. Instead, a cold, crystalline calm settled over me. For the next 6 weeks, I lived a double life. By day, I was the devoted partner, discussing feature rollouts for HueCraft 1.5. By night, I became a forensic investigator. I hired a digital security expert named Veronica, who helped me pull server logs from a remote backup. I engaged a forensic accountant, a sharp woman named Ms. Vance, who traced the payments to Z Ventures. It wasn't a holding company, it was Zane's personal shell corp. He had siphoned exactly $117,450 over 9 months. Each new discovery widened the chasm of his betrayal. Hadn't just stolen my work, he had been systematically erasing me from our own story while using my own money to do it. The breaking point was that night at InnovateCon. He had been nominated for the Innovator of the Year award. He insisted we both attend for the company's image. Our investors, key journalists, even my own family were in the audience. When his name was called, he hugged me, whispering, "We did it." Then he walked on stage and delivered his monologue. It wasn't just the line about the support crew. It was the 20 seconds that followed. Ideas are a dime a dozen, he told the rapt audience, his voice resonating with false humility. The real genius, the true art, is in the courage to execute that vision, to lead. It was a complete and utter erasure performed in front of everyone I knew. I felt my blood run cold, but my face remained a neutral mask. As the applause thundered, I saw a tiny, overlooked detail. His final presentation slide, behind the award logo, was a watermark. HueCraft 2, the future of design. He wasn't just stealing the past. He was already selling a future he planned to build without me. In that instant, the last flicker of grief died, and the entire plan locked into place. My attorney, a man named Sterling with eyes that missed nothing, had been on retainer for 3 weeks. The initial fee was $25,000, drawn from a personal account Zane knew nothing about. Veronica, the security expert, and Ms. Vance, the accountant, worked in tandem. The process was a meticulous construction of an ironclad case. We had to be flawless. One evening, Zane came home early and I was on a video call with Sterling, my screen filled with flowcharts of siphoned funds. I heard his key in the door and in a single motion, swiped 3 fingers across my trackpad, switching the screen to a complex code editor just as he walked in. That was close, Sterling's voice said in my earbud. The evidence we gathered was overwhelming. There were 57 emails between Zane and the patent attorney, explicitly discussing how to frame the algorithm as his sole invention. There were server logs from 3 separate dates, showing his IP address, downloading the entire source code from my private repository at 3 a.m. There were the transaction receipts from QuickBooks to Z-Ventures. The ironic coincidence came from a junior developer Zane had secretly hired in Austin to begin work on the stolen code. Developer Peter grew suspicious of the project's secrecy and, using an anonymous email, reached out to me with a warning. He became our star witness. The final piece of the plan was the decoy. I knew Zane would try to oust me to get full control, so I set a trap he would walk into with his own 2 feet. I built a breathtakingly beautiful, fully functional prototype of HuCraft 2. It had a revolutionary interface and features that would make investors drool. Beneath the surface, it was a Trojan horse. The code was intentionally inefficient, designed to collapse under scale, and riddled with hidden digital watermarks. Each time the application was compiled or run, it sent a silent, encrypted log to a secure server I controlled. I left this Trojan horse on a shared development drive, mislabeled as deprecated assets. Zane, in his arrogance, took the bait within 48 hours. The stage was the quarterly board meeting, held in the glass-walled conference room on the 34th floor. Zane had called the meeting, telling our 4 investors he had a bold new direction to propose. He stood at the head of the table, radiating confidence. Before you begin, Zane, I have a brief presentation on corporate governance. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. He chuckled. Ren always focused on the details. Let's save the admin for later. This is about vision. I smiled faintly and clicked the remote. The first slide appeared on the 80-inch screen. It wasn't a graph. It was a simple flowchart. Box labeled HuCraft Inc. On the left, an arrow pointing to a box labeled Z-Ventures LLC on the right, and the number, $117,450, hovering above the arrow. Zane's smile froze. His face went from confusion to dawning horror. That was the first wave. Ms. Vance joined via video link, her calm, professional voice narrating a 6-minute summary of Zane's systematic fraud, complete with dates and transaction numbers. Investors were silent, their faces grim. Zane started to bluster, to deny, calling it a misunderstanding. Then he played his final card. This is a desperate attack because she knows I am the real force behind this company. I am the one who created the future, HuCraft 2. This is exactly what I expected him to do. He plugged his laptop into the monitor to show them his stolen masterpiece. The beautiful interface of my Trojan horse filled the screen. As he began his pitch, I nodded to Sterling, who was sitting quietly in the corner. Sterling typed a single command into his own laptop. Zane's demo flickered. Then, a raw log file appeared on the screen, a cascade of white text on a black background. At the top in bold were the words, digital watermark and usage log. It showed every access, every file copy, every compilation of the program, all time-stamped and all originating from a single IP address, the one registered to Zane's home network. Zane stared at the screen, his mouth opening and closing silently. One of the investors, a woman named Teresa, finally spoke, her voice dangerously low. Zane, what the hell is this? He just stood there, a statue of a visionary. I looked directly at him, my voice holding no triumph, only finality. It seems some people are just meant to be the support crew. The chaos of the next 24 hours was a distant storm I watched from my window. I saw Zane being escorted from the building by security. My phone lit up with 100 notifications from Slack, from our investors, from my family. I ignored them all. Board, with Sterling's guidance, voted unanimously to terminate Zane for cause, stripping him of all equity and filing a civil suit for fraud and intellectual property theft. The final judgment came 3 months later. He was ordered to repay the $117,450, plus another $350,000 in damages and legal fees. He lost everything. The last I saw of him was a photo a friend sent me 6 months after that. He was working at a big box electronics store, his expensive suit replaced by a cheap blue polo shirt with a crooked name tag. He was explaining the warranty on a television to a bored-looking couple. The visionary had become a salesman. My own life became quiet. I was now CEO of a rebranded company. We moved to a new office, one with more plants and natural light. My team, the real support crew, thrived. There was a calm, a collaborative peace that had been missing for years. It wasn't a feeling of victory, but of restoration, of earning my own peace. Last month, I was on stage myself, accepting an award for our new software. Afterward, a young journalist asked me the inevitable question about what it takes to succeed. She asked me about my vision. I thought of Zane, of his singular, selfish creed. Vision isn't singular, I told her. It's shared.